This is Cricbuzz Chatter with Adam Collins and Michael Vaughan after the fourth day at Southampton, the first test match between England and the West Indies. And what a captivating day of test cricket it was, Vaughan. I mean, England were doing almost everything right till about 6 p.m. You asked them to bat all day and they'd only lost 3 wickets to that point of the day, eliminating the deficit, building a healthy lead. Zach Crawley and Ben Stokes building that lead. And we're kind of thinking, well, will they have enough time to bowl out the West Indies tomorrow? Instead, they lose 5 for 30 and the game's completely turned on its head leading into the fifth day.
Yeah, it's not a day's of English Test match batting without a collapse. We've just got to get used to that. It's normal procedure, but wonderful from the West Indies. The last hour here, it's as you mentioned, the game has completely come to life. I just wonder whether England just relaxed a little bit when Zach Crawley, who played beautifully, really impressive today, and Ben Stokes, particularly that second new ball, they attacked it. The ball was travelling to the boundary on a regular occurrence, and I just wonder whether they just relaxed. Ben Stokes played an iffy stroke to Jason Holder, very similar to the dismissal in the first innings. Then Zach Crawley just played across the line of one. It was a brilliant catch by Alzari Joseph, and then Shannon Gabriel, those last 2 wickets, the thundering of the ball into the stump for Dom Bess, and then the inside edge back onto the stump from Ollie Pope. Wonderful test match cricket. I have to give both sets of players a huge amount of praise, because when you think where they've been in the last few weeks, in a bio bubble, they've played a couple of warm-up games against themselves, which is never as intense as a test match. It can't be. For the players to have achieved the standard of cricket over the last 4 days is quite remarkable. Of course, there's been some mistakes. There's been a few iffy shots. There's been the odd drop ball. But in terms of the quality that I thought we would see, in terms of the quality that we have seen, it's been absolutely fantastic for the players. And I think we're going into the fifth day with all results possible. I think the players need to deserve all the praise for that.
Yeah, that's really well put. To think that England went from 15 for no loss at the start of the day, 284 for 8 at the close. So they're still 170 in the lead. But the resilience of the West Indies bowlers, Vaughan, you talked about Alzari Joseph, who didn't get a bowl for nearly 2 hours in this innings. And Jason Holder, of course, got them going. He always does. Gabriel at the end, who had a wicket turned over. You know, those West Indies quicks, they kept going and going and going.
Great attitudes, yeah. They just keep running. I think it's testimony to. I know I've waxed lyrical about Jason Holder, but it really is down to the leader to really inspire the team to just keep going in all situations. And when England were 3 wickets down, as you mentioned, at around 5:30, 6 o'clock, it was looking like the West Indies were out of this test match, because Stokes and Crawley were playing with so much ease. They were scoring so quickly. And to add that resilience within your team, that comes from the leadership of Phil Simmons and obviously the skipper out there, Jason Holder. So their attitudes are spot on. They've also got a huge amount of skill. You know, Shannon Gabriel, Kemar Roach, who's been very unfortunate in this innings not to pick up a few. As I said before, all results are possible. I still just have England favourites because of the way that the wicket played in the last hour. If they get another 30 or 40, absolute favourites. But if the West Indies are chasing 180, only needs one player to get you a 70, and you should win the test match.
We talked about the hard yards the West Indies did with the bat on Friday. Well, on Saturday it was the England top order, Burns and Sibley, and then briefly Denley, albeit with a dismissal that he won't ever want to see again. But they were the 3 that got England to the point where they were in the lead by the stage that Stokes and subsequently Crawley were able to come in and really get the scoring rate going. Had to start with Dom Sibley, a half century after picking up a duck in the first innings. He cops a lot of grief for the way he scores the majority of his runs through the leg side, but Vaughan, it seems to work for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's just got a method that he's produced in county cricket for a few years, been so consistent in the county game, and he's just brought it to the international game. Whether he'll have to add 1 or 2 strokes into his armoury going forward to the likes of playing against India against the spin, I think he needs to bring maybe a sweep or 2 or try and open up the offside as well. He can't just be just one trick pony, because I think he'll just get bogged down, particularly against quality spinners. The bouncing ball down the leg side is probably somewhere that the Australians will be looking at now, going, we can target him with that. But he's a young player that's just making his way, and you know, you look at the way that some players started. Look at Alistair Cook when he started well, but you know, you improve along the journey of Test match cricket. So there's improvement there for Dom Sibley, but I like his resilience to get 0 in the first innings, a 50 in the second innings. Just shows you that he's made us some strong stuff upstairs.
We all know that Rory Burns can bat for a long period of time. He'll hate the way he got out as well. Something about Roston Chase and his England team, I have no idea what it is. He has credit in the bank, though. A man who may have run out of credits is Jaden Lee. We talked about him a couple of days ago, Vaughnie, the need for him to make a big score, knowing that Joe Root will be back into the 11 at Old Trafford last week. Did all the hard work. He scrapped to almost 70 balls, being almost more important than the 29 runs that he acquired along the way. And then it was chase once more, encouraging him to flick to mid-wicket, and it was all over, and maybe indeed his career could be as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at his 15 Test matches, they've all been very, very similar. You know, he averages under 30. He's yet to get 100. He's got, I think, between 10 and 39, 18 times in those 15 games. So he doesn't have a problem getting in. He has a problem when he gets in. And he did exactly the same as he's done in many of his Test matches today. He got to 29. He was playing nicely. Played a beautiful on-drive down the ground off Jason Holder. He just swept the spinner, Roston Chase. And then, yet again, he just made it's a glaring error. And at this level, when you're number 3 and you've done the hard yards of getting in, you know, and then you've got a young player at the other end in Zach Crowley who played beautifully. I just don't see how he can keep his place in the side. Joe Root will come back next week.
Vaughnie, let's go into the hot spot. Vaughnie, in the hot spot, along a similar theme to that of Jaden Lee, is Jos Butler. It almost pains me to say this, given how hard it was for Butler to get back into the side. What a magnificent 2018 he had, how crucial he is to the white ball teams, but 1 half-century in Test cricket in his last 20 innings. Ben Foakes is there today batting in the nets. We know how well he played when he had his opportunity. Of course, Johnny Bairstow will always be there and thereabouts and has made Test centuries in the past. Where do you see Jos Butler at the moment as a Test cricketer?
He's probably reliant on the team winning. You know, I think, you know, we've got to that stage, as you mentioned, about his stats. They don't lie. And in the first innings, he had wonderful balance. I thought he was the best I've seen him playing Test cricket for a long, long time. In the second innings, he went back to that unbalanced nature, that front foot going over, that head going with it. And then all of a sudden, he can't get into a good foundation to play the drive. So he's playing without that foot almost being planted. He's playing with his eyesight just out of the way of the line of the ball, inside edge back onto the stumps. He'd been given out the previous over LBW to not a similar ball, but that ball that's nipping back. His head got the wrong side and the ball was deemed to be going over the top. He's somehow just got to lock in that first innings balance. He isn't going to get dropped. You know, they've picked him for this Test match. Whatever happens here, you know, I mentioned them losing. Of course, that'll put a lot of pressure on his position if they do so. But he'll be playing at Old Trafford, and I'm sure he will play in the third Test match as well. But if he doesn't produce the goods in the next 2 weeks with the bat, absolutely they'll be looking to Ben Foakes for the Pakistan series.
Yes, Vaughnie, he's definitely a man who needs runs. But pressing fast forward, all the positives from this week, it all culminates tomorrow. England 170 ahead. The last time there was a Test match played at Southampton, India was set 245 to win. They fell well short in the end, bowled out for 184. But seeing the track a little bit up and down today, where is this going to go? Put it on the line, Vaughnie.
I think England are just going to have enough. Jimmy Anderson, Ben Stokes himself, Jofra Archer, Mark Wood under a little bit of pressure because they were a bit inconsistent in that first innings. The one thing I say about the West Indies, we've seen the second new ball for 2 days consecutively been the time that you can attack and get some quick runs. I just wonder whether it's worth the West Indies gambling and trying to attack that new ball to try and get off to a start, because it seems to me when the ball gets a bit older, there's a little bit more movement. It just grabs into the surface a little bit better. So it might be a tactic the West Indies use. India, 245, always seemed a long shot a couple of years ago because it was spinning, it was really dry. If the West Indies are only chasing 180, it only takes one batsman. One batsman gets you 70 and you win the Test match. But just at this stage, I just have England favourites.
What a fantastic advertisement for Test cricket. The first week back after the long break through coronavirus. Of course, we'll be there tomorrow for Cricbuzz to watch every minute of it, to follow every minute of it on the live blog. And afterwards with Michael Vaughan and Adam Collins, the two of us, will be back for Cricbuzz Chatter, and we cannot wait.